Imagine this for a moment. You're standing before the throne of God. The heavens have opened. Time as we know it has ended. The angels are silent. The books are opened. And there, sitting in majesty, power, and holiness, is Jesus Christ, the judge of all the earth. Now picture this. He looks at you. Not your neighbor, not your pastor, not your spouse, you. His eyes pierce through every layer, every mask, every excuse, every story you've ever told yourself. And then he asks you a question. What would you say? How would you answer? Because on that day there will be no pretending, no filters, no, "I'll explain later." It'll be you and him, and the questions he asks will determine eternity. So today, I want to walk you through 5 powerful questions Jesus will ask on Judgment Day, questions that will not only confront us, but prepare us. Because if we can answer them now, with honesty and humility, we won't have to fear that final day. But before we dive deep into these eternal questions, welcome to Broken Echoes. If you're passionate about uncovering the hidden truths of Scripture and want to grow deeper in your walk with God, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you never miss a moment. The first question: what did you do with my son? This is the most important question of all. When everything is stripped away, our careers, our families, our reputations, even our secret dreams, this one question will echo above everything else. What did you do with Jesus? Think about that for a moment. On that day, he won't ask what church you went to. He won't ask how many sermons you heard. He won't ask if your parents were Christian or if your grandparents prayed for you. He'll look right into your soul and ask, what did you personally do with me? And the truth is, many people know about Jesus. They know the name. They've heard the stories. Some can even quote his words. But knowing about him is not the same as knowing him. Talking about him is not the same as walking with him. Singing about him is not the same as surrendering to him. That's why this question cuts so deep, because we live in a world where it's easy to play religion. It's easy to say the right words, wear the right mask, and even do good works, but never truly give him our hearts. We can raise our hands in worship on Sunday, yet live as if he doesn't exist on Monday. We can post Bible verses online, but harbor bitterness, pride, or unforgiveness in private. And on Judgment Day, every mask will fall away. There will be no pretending in front of the one whose eyes see everything. Hebrews 4:13 says that nothing in all creation is hidden from his sight. Everything is laid bare before him. That means every thought, every motive, every secret choice we thought nobody saw. Jesus saw it. And the question becomes unavoidable. What did you do with me? Imagine standing before him and realizing that he had been offering you the greatest gift all along: salvation, love, eternal life, and you left it unopened. Picture someone handing you a priceless gift, purchased with their own blood, wrapped in love, and you simply put it aside because you were too busy or distracted. How heartbreaking would that be? That's what happens when we know Jesus is there, but we keep pushing him to the corner of our lives. The truth is, this question isn't about whether we were perfect. None of us are. It isn't about whether we never stumbled, never failed, never had doubts. Jesus knows our weaknesses. What he's asking is, did we trust him? Did we open the gift? Did we let him be Lord of our lives? Or did we keep him at arm's length, just a convenience for when we were in trouble? Every day, in small ways, we are already answering this question. When we choose forgiveness instead of holding on to a grudge, we're saying, Jesus, I believe you are Lord. When we choose honesty over deceit, we're saying, Jesus, I trust your way more than my way. But when we keep choosing sin, when we keep ignoring his voice, we're answering too. We're saying, Jesus, you weren't worth it. That's a hard truth, but it's also freeing. Because right now, while there's still breath in our lungs, we can change that answer. We don't have to wait for that day. We don't have to stand before him with regret. We can surrender to him here and now and let our lives say, Jesus, you are everything to me. So I want you to pause for a moment and reflect. If he looked into your eyes today and asked, what did you do with me? What would your honest answer be? Would you say, Lord, I knew about you, but I didn't really know you? Or would you be able to say, Lord, I wasn't perfect, but I gave you my life, I trusted you, I followed you? That's the beauty of this question. It's not meant to condemn, it's meant to reveal. And it's meant to invite you right now to step closer, to receive Him fully, to let your answer be one of faith, not regret. Because one day, it won't just be a question in a sermon or a thought in your mind, it will be reality. And the most important answer of your entire life will come down to this: what did you do with Jesus Christ? The second question: what did you do with what I gave you? This second question is just as piercing because it deals with what God placed in our hands during the short time we had on earth. And the way Jesus will ask it is simple but weighty. What did you do with what I gave you? Think about how many things God has entrusted us with: your breath, your time, your gifts, your opportunities, your relationships, your influence, your resources. Nothing we have is truly ours. It was all placed in our hands by Him. Every sunrise you woke up to, every heartbeat, every chance you had to speak, to act, to love, all of it was a gift. And on that day, the Lord will want to know, what did you do with it? Jesus told a parable in Matthew 25 about a master who gave talents to his servants. To one he gave 5, to another 2, and to another 1. The master expected them to do something with what they had received. When he came back, the first 2 had doubled what they had been given, but the last one buried his talent in the ground and had nothing to show for it. And what did the master say? To the faithful, he said, "Well done, good and faithful servant." But to the one who wasted it, he said, "You wicked and lazy servant." That parable isn't just a nice story, it's a picture of Judgment Day. God is going to look at what He placed in you, your skills, your money, your voice, your position, your family, even the struggles you went through. And He's going to ask, what did you do with it? Now the danger here is that many people think the question will be about how much they had. But no, God doesn't judge us by how much we had, but by what we did with what we had. Maybe you didn't have as much as others. Maybe your life looked smaller in the eyes of the world. But if you were faithful with what you had, God sees that. On the other hand, if you had much but wasted it on selfishness, on pride, on things that didn't last, that will also be revealed. This question is going to dig deep into how we lived our daily lives. Did you use your time only for yourself? Or did you spend it in ways that honored God? Did you use your resources just to build your own comfort? Or did you invest in others, in the kingdom, in things that will last beyond you? Did you use your voice to encourage, to lift up, to speak truth, or did you waste it on gossip, complaining, or tearing others down? It's humbling to think about, isn't it? Because so often we take what God gives us for granted. We assume we'll always have more time, more opportunities, another tomorrow. But every day we live is a day borrowed from eternity. And one day, He'll ask us to give an account. Let me paint a picture. Imagine standing before Him, and He shows you all the moments you were given. The morning when you felt the nudge to call a friend who was hurting, but you brushed it aside. The time you had a chance to forgive, but you chose bitterness instead. The moments you could have prayed, but you scrolled your phone instead. The opportunities you had to bless someone with kindness, but you said, "I'm too busy." Every one of those moments was a seed God placed in your hand. And one day, He will ask, what did you do with it? But there's another side too, a beautiful side. Imagine He shows you the times you didn't even realize the impact of what you did. That small word of encouragement you gave that kept someone from giving up. That prayer you whispered in secret that changed the course of a life. That gift you gave in faith that funded something bigger than you could see. That time you chose patience with your child, or compassion with a stranger, or courage to stand for truth when it wasn't popular. You may not even remember those moments, but God does. And on that day, He will say, "I saw it. I remember. You were faithful with what I gave you." That's what makes this question both terrifying and thrilling. Because the same God who asks it is also the one who empowers us to answer it well. He never gives us something without also giving us the grace to use it. The question is, are we using it? I want you to reflect for a moment. What has God placed in your hands? Maybe it's a gift to sing, to teach, to build, to care for people. Maybe it's money, maybe it's wisdom, maybe it's influence, maybe it's simply time. Time with your children, time with people around you. What are you doing with it? Are you investing it, multiplying it, letting it grow for His glory? Or are you burying it in the ground, waiting for someday? Someday is not promised, and that's why this question is urgent. On Judgment Day, there won't be time to go back and do it over. We'll have to give our answer with what we've already done. That's why we must start living with this question in our hearts right now. So if Jesus asked you today, "What did you do with what I gave you?" what would your answer be? Could you say, "Lord, I tried to be faithful. I may not have had much, but I used what you gave me for your glory"? Or would you have to admit, "Lord, I wasted it. I spent it all on myself. I let fear and laziness bury what you placed in my hands"? The good news is, you're still alive, which means it's not too late to change the answer. You can start today. You can decide right now. God, I want to use what you've given me well. I want to stand before you with joy, not regret. I want to hear you say, "Well done." That's the heart of this second question. It reminds us that life is not just something to be survived, it's something to be stewarded. The third question, how did you treat others? If there's one question that will surprise many people on Judgment Day, it will be this one. Because while we often focus on our personal faith, our private prayers, our church attendance, Jesus will ask something far simpler, but far more exposing. How did you treat others? This question is at the very heart of the gospel. Jesus himself said in Matthew 22 that the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. But he didn't stop there. He said the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. And then he said something shocking, that all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. In other words, the way you treat God and the way you treat people are the very foundation of everything. On that day, Jesus won't just ask if you loved him, he'll also ask if you loved the people he placed in your path. And that's not always easy to think about, because loving God can sometimes feel easier than loving people. God is perfect, patient, merciful. People? Not so much. People hurt us. People disappoint us. People misunderstand us. People betray us. And yet Jesus will still ask, how did you treat them? Imagine standing before him and he plays back the moments of your life, the times you had the chance to show kindness but chose indifference instead, the times you could have forgiven but you held on to bitterness, the times you had the opportunity to be generous but you clung tightly to what you had, the times someone needed your patience but you snapped in anger. Every one of those moments mattered to God, because how you treated others was in fact how you treated him. Jesus said in Matthew 25, "Whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." That means the hungry person you fed, the stranger you welcomed, the sick person you cared for, you were doing it to him. But it also means when you ignored, rejected, or mistreated them, you were doing that to him too. That should stop us in our tracks, because it means every interaction is sacred. Every person we meet is an opportunity to love Jesus himself. Now let's make this personal. Think about the people closest to you, the ones in your own home. How do you treat them? Sometimes we're most polite to strangers and least patient with our family. But on that day, Jesus will ask how you treated the people he entrusted to you. The spouse you promised to love, the children you were called to raise, the parents you were told to honor. Did you treat them with love and respect, or with neglect and irritation? And then there are the people outside our homes, the co-worker who gets under your skin, the neighbor who seems impossible, the friend who drifted away, the enemy who hurt you. Did you treat them with mercy, with patience, with grace? Or did you let anger, pride, and self-interest dictate your actions? This is where it gets uncomfortable, because many of us like to measure our spirituality by how much we pray, how much we read the Bible, or how much we give to church. But Jesus measures it by how much we love. 1 John 4:20 says, "Whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen." That's strong language, but it reveals something powerful. Our love for people is the visible proof of our love for God. Think of the times Jesus showed love to people others overlooked. The woman caught in adultery, the lepers no one would touch, the tax collectors everyone despised, the children others pushed away. Jesus treated them with compassion, dignity, and mercy. He wasn't just giving us stories, he was showing us what God expects from us. Because on Judgment Day he will ask, how did you treat them? Did you love like I loved? Picture it this way. Imagine he brings before you the face of someone you hurt with your words. Imagine he shows you the tears of someone you ignored when they needed help. Imagine he brings forward a memory of someone you judged harshly when you could have shown grace. And then he asks, how did you treat them? There will be no excuses, no chance to explain away our actions. Only the truth. But here's the beautiful part. He will also show the moments you forgot about, the little acts of kindness you did without fanfare, the meal you gave, the smile you shared, the prayer you whispered, the encouragement you spoke. Those moments may have seemed small, but in God's eyes they were huge. And on that day he will say, I was hungry, and you fed me. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was hurting, and you comforted me. You did it for me. Imagine hearing that from the mouth of Jesus himself. So the question isn't meant to shame us. It's meant to awaken us. Right now, while we still have time, we can choose to love better. We can choose patience over irritation, forgiveness over grudges, compassion over indifference. We can treat people not based on how they treat us, but based on how Christ has treated us. So let me ask you, if Jesus were to ask you today, how did you treat others? What would your answer be? Would you be proud of how you've loved, or would you hang your head in regret? And more importantly, what would you want your answer to be on that final day? Because the truth is, love is not optional for the follower of Christ. It's not a bonus or an add-on. It's the very proof of who we are. Jesus said in John 13:35, by this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Not by our sermons, not by our knowledge, not by our titles, but by our love. And one day before the throne, when he asks, how did you treat others? May our answer be, Lord, I tried to love them the way you loved me. The fourth question, were you faithful with what I called you to do? This question cuts straight to the purpose of our lives. Because on Judgment Day, Jesus won't just ask what we accomplished, how much money we made, or how successful we looked in the eyes of the world. He will ask something far more important. Were you faithful with what I called you to do? Notice, he doesn't ask, were you the most talented? Did you do more than everyone else? Did you reach the highest levels of success? No. The question is about faithfulness, not comparison. It's about whether you did what he asked you to do, not what everyone else expected of you. This matters so much because many of us spend our lives chasing the wrong finish line. We measure ourselves against others. We think if we just get the job, the house, the respect, the influence, then we've made it. But when we stand before Jesus, none of that will matter. The only thing that will matter is whether we were faithful to the assignment he gave us. Think about the prophets, the disciples, the men and women of faith in the Bible. Some of them preached to thousands, like Peter at Pentecost. Some of them wrote letters that shaped the church, like Paul. But some of them lived quiet, hidden lives of obedience that never made headlines. Yet God saw them all. Because faithfulness in his eyes isn't measured by numbers, it's measured by obedience. On that day, imagine Jesus looking at your life and asking, did you do what I called you to do? Did you walk the path I set before you, even when it was hard, even when no one noticed, even when it didn't look glamorous? Faithfulness often looks like consistency in the unseen places. It's showing up when nobody claps. It's praying when no one hears. It's serving when there's no spotlight. It's being honest when no one's watching. It's staying committed to your calling when it feels like nothing is happening. And yet, so many of us are tempted to give up. We look around and say, what's the point? Nobody cares, nobody sees, nobody's clapping. But hear me, God sees. And on Judgment Day, he won't ask how many people approved of you. He will ask, were you faithful? Picture a mother who quietly raises her children in the ways of God, day after day, unseen by the world. Picture a worker who chooses integrity when it costs him promotions. Picture a missionary who labors for years in a difficult land with few results. The world may not call them successful, but heaven will call them faithful. And Jesus will smile and say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." But think also of the opposite. Imagine someone who had great talent, great opportunities, great influence, but they used it for themselves. They built their own kingdom, not God's. They chased applause instead of obedience. On the outside, it looked like success. But when they stand before Christ, He will ask, "Were you faithful to what I called you to do?" And their life will crumble because it was built on sand. This is why Paul said in 1 Corinthians 4:2, "It is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful." Not brilliant, not famous, not impressive, faithful. Because at the end of the day, faithfulness is what God values. Now let's bring it close to home. What has God called you to? Maybe He's called you to be a light in your workplace. Maybe He's called you to serve in your church. Maybe He's called you to raise your family in faith. Maybe He's called you to start something, to write something, to build something. Or maybe He's called you simply to endure faithfully in a season of suffering, to trust Him in the fire, to cling to Him when life makes no sense. Are you being faithful in that calling? Or have you been distracted, discouraged, or disobedient? It's easy to get caught chasing someone else's calling, someone else's dream, someone else's race. But you will not be judged by what they did. You will be judged by what you did with the calling God placed in your hands. I want you to imagine standing before Jesus, and He looks at you with eyes of love and asks, "Were you faithful with what I called you to do?" What will your answer be? Will you be able to say, "Lord, I stumbled at times, I struggled, but I didn't give up. I did what you asked. I remained faithful"? Or will you have to admit, "Lord, I got distracted. I lived for myself. I neglected the work you gave me"? This is why now is the time to realign, to strip away distractions, to stop running after applause, to silence the voices of comparison, and to fix your eyes on the only one whose opinion matters. Because one day you will hear His voice, and nothing will matter more than hearing Him say, "Well done." So let me ask you, if Jesus were to ask you today, "Were you faithful with what I called you to do?" what would your honest answer be? And what do you want that answer to be when you stand before Him for real? Because at the end of the day, the greatest success story is not the one the world writes about you. It's the one where heaven declares, "This servant was faithful." The fifth question, did you live ready for my return? This last question may be the most sobering of all, because it's not just about what we believed or what we did. It's about how we lived day by day in expectation of the King's return. And Jesus will ask, did you live ready for my coming? Think about that for a moment. The Bible tells us again and again that Jesus is coming back. We don't know the day. We don't know the hour. But we do know this. He will return like a thief in the night when people least expect it. And the question on that day will not be, did you predict the timeline? Or did you know all the prophecies by heart? The question will be, were you ready? Readiness isn't about having head knowledge. It's about having a heart posture. It's about living each day as if today could be the day. It's about walking in obedience, staying alert, keeping your lamp burning, like the wise virgins in Matthew 25, who had oil ready when the bridegroom came. The foolish ones were caught off guard, scrambling at the last minute, but it was too late. And Jesus said, "Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." Now picture standing before Him and He asks, "Did you live ready for my return?" What will flash before your mind? Will it be days wasted in compromise, in half-hearted devotion, in chasing things that won't last? Or will it be a life of expectation, where every choice, every action, every prayer was shaped by the knowledge that you were living for eternity? It's easy to drift into complacency. We get comfortable. We start thinking, maybe He won't come in my lifetime. We get caught up in jobs, bills, dreams, entertainment, and slowly we stop watching. We stop longing. We stop preparing. But readiness isn't optional. It's the mark of a true disciple. Imagine how different your choices would be if you lived every day as if it were the day of His return. Would you speak differently to the people around you? Would you forgive quicker? Would you pray with more urgency? Would you let go of sin more easily, knowing that the one who died for you could return at any moment? That's what it means to be ready. It means living with eternity in view. It means making daily decisions that reflect the fact that this world is not your home. It means saying no to the temporary pleasures of sin because you're waiting for eternal joy. It means saying yes to costly obedience because you know the reward is greater than anything you could gain here. And readiness is not about fear, it's about love. When you love someone deeply, you live in expectation of their arrival. You prepare, you look forward to it, you stay alert. That's what Jesus is asking of us, not a life of dread, but a life of love, a life that says, Lord, I'm ready whenever you come. Think about Noah. When God told him to build the ark, there was no rain, no sign of a flood, nothing but God's word. Yet Noah lived ready. He built day after day, mocked by others, misunderstood, but faithful. And when the day came, Noah was ready, while the world was caught off guard. That's a picture of what it means to be prepared for Christ's return. But now imagine standing before him and realizing you lived as if he would never come back. Imagine realizing you wasted your time, your energy, your life on things that vanish in a moment. Imagine looking back and wishing you had been ready. That's why Jesus gave this warning in Matthew 24:44. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Let me ask you directly, if Jesus returned today, right now, this very moment, would you be ready? Would you be confident to stand before him? Or would you shrink back in shame? That's not a question meant to scare you, it's a question meant to awaken you, because he is coming whether we're ready or not. And the wisest thing we can do with our lives is to live in constant preparation. Readiness looks like this: a heart surrendered, sins confessed, relationships reconciled, hands busy with the work of the kingdom, eyes lifted toward eternity. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you never stumble. It means you live in such a way that if today were the day, you'd be at peace. On that day when he asks, "Did you live ready for my return?" what will your answer be? Will you say, "Lord, I thought I had more time"? Or will you be able to say, "Lord, I was waiting, I was watching, I was ready"? The choice is yours, and the time is now. Because tomorrow is not promised. The trumpet could sound at any moment, and when it does, all that will matter is whether you were ready. So live today in the light of eternity. Live with your lamp burning bright. Live as though you could see him face to face at any moment, because one day you will. And on that day, may your answer be, "Yes, Lord, I was ready." We've walked through 5 questions, 5 eternal questions that Jesus will ask on Judgment Day. Let's bring them together one last time. What did you do with my son? What did you do with what I gave you? How did you treat others? Did you live according to my word? Did you live ready for my return? These are not abstract ideas. They're not distant theological puzzles. They are personal, heart-piercing questions that every single one of us will answer one day, face to face with the King of Kings. And I want you to picture that moment. The throne, the light of his glory, the books opened, the eyes of Jesus locking on yours, not in anger, but in truth, in love, in holiness. And there will be no excuses, no masks, no pretending, only truth. What will you say? What will your life reveal? See, Judgment Day isn't meant to be something we dread. It's meant to be something that motivates us to live differently today. Because right now, while we still have time, we can shape the answers to those questions. We can choose Christ. We can use our gifts. We can love others deeply. We can obey his word. We can live ready for his return. That's the beauty of God's grace. It gives us time. But grace doesn't mean we wait until tomorrow. Grace means we act today. Right now, in this moment, you can decide to surrender. You can decide to start fresh. You can decide that your life will be lived as an answer that pleases him. And friend, this is the truth. One day your name will be called. One day your time will come. One day you'll stand before him. And when you do, you won't regret the sacrifices, you won't regret the obedience, you won't regret the faith. You'll only regret the times you wasted. So let me ask you, if this video ended right now, and the sky split open and the trumpet sounded, would you be ready? Would your answers be full of joy, or would they be full of regret? Don't wait. Don't push this off. Eternity is too long and life is too short to gamble with. If you're listening to this and you feel that pull in your heart, that's the Holy Spirit calling you. Respond. Say yes to Jesus. Give him your life. Let him be your Lord. That way, on that day, when the questions come, you can stand with confidence, not fear. Because here's the hope. For those who belong to him, Judgment Day isn't about condemnation. It's about reward. It's about hearing those words we all long to hear. Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord. That's the goal. That's the prize. That's the reason we live, the reason we endure, the reason we say no to the world and yes to Christ. So, my friend, live every day as your answer. Live so that on that day, your answers will echo in eternity as testimony to a life surrendered to Jesus. And if this message has touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Let others hear the truth. And remember, you're not just watching a video, you're being reminded of your eternal destiny. Until next time, keep your eyes on Jesus, your heart set on eternity, and your life ready for the day you'll stand before him. God bless you.